Get ready for another From the Bacta Tank exclusive.
I like the sound of that.
All right, everybody, we are back here on the Star Wars From the Bacta Tank show. This is actually going to be an update show only. And those of you who are not familiar with that, it's just a smaller version of our show, less production. It's kind of, I guess, what do you want to call it? Maybe whittled down to the basics.
A appetizer?
Right, something to make sure, because there's so much news coming out on the Star Wars front, we want to make sure we're at least getting the relevant news out rather than waiting once a month when we do the big show.
Yeah.
So once again, I want to thank John Jackson Miller for doing the interview with our last show, which was a huge success.
That was awesome.
Probably the biggest Star Wars show we've had in the past year. Much thanks to that guy for taking time out, and actually very interesting man, very good conversationalist. We learned a lot too, which is fun to actually learn something when you're a fan of. Nothing's better than hearing it from someone who's in the know. You're like, oh yes, I'm learning something, and not just reading it in an article.
Yeah, he was really open with a lot of things. I mean, all the questions we asked him, he didn't really hold back.
And you know that he's used to this. He's used to skirting around the things that he can't. So it sounds like he's answering your question too.
But
and then at the same time, he's just pushing it off.
Yeah.
So he's been doing this for a while. He knows how to play the game.
Yeah.
Like, this is what I can talk about. This is what I can't.
That thing's operational.
So, all right. So biggest news, definitely. And it came out right when our show came out. So I was kind of upset. But the biggest news by far, I have to say, since the announcement of Star Wars. Since the announcement of Disney buying Lucasfilm and new Star Wars movies, is I'd have to say the title of Episode 7.
That's true.
Which is, drumroll please, The Force Awakens. What are your initial thoughts? Now, not now, after you've had time to think about it, David, but what was your first thought to The Force Awakens?
The first initial thoughts I had was simple and it's perfect. Nothing. That was the first thing that popped in my head.
Yeah.
Because, like, you don't want to really, with a title, especially with Star Wars, you don't want to get too elaborate. Then you get Attack of the Clones.
You don't want to get uppity with it.
Yeah.
I think they took the safe route as well. I think, like what they're doing with much of with this new reboot of the franchise, they're being careful with what they do.
Yeah.
And I think this is it's a fun, safe name that to me also just makes sense, because when you think about it, for all intents and purposes, the Jedi are extinct. The Jedi, as we know it, don't exist. So this may be the beginning. The Force Awakens.
Yeah. And also, on the flip side, too, it doesn't really say it's going to focus just on Jedis either.
You're right. The Force is anything.
The Force is anything.
Yeah.
You have the light side and the dark side.
Mm-hmm.
So we definitely know that basically there's going to be the Sith are going to show up.
Right. Well, we still don't know if it is. Do we know the Sith is going to be there? Because they're still it's still up in the air whether the Inquisitors even use the Sith.
That is true.
Like,
we don't know about that.
Right, because we do know they use the dark side, which we read an article, I want to say a month ago, actually saying, from Dave Filoni, saying the Inquisitors aren't necessarily Sith Lords. They just use the dark side of the Force. And that was kind of the first time in movie form or anything that we've seen in the mainstream besides books and comics where they actually distinguish the two. Okay, there is the dark side, which is naughty, okay? But then there's the Sith as well, which is basically practicing the Force from the Sith teaching.
The Sith teaching.
So there's definitely a difference. So the Force Awakens can pretty much mean anything.
And that's actually really cool because it actually ties into kind of like what the books felt like.
Right. It's going to be interesting and fun. This whole entire process has been fun for me because the Force Awakens it's just it gives you questions, and I like that. Some people are like, I want to know, but listen, you're not gonna know.
Yeah.
You're not gonna know, and I like the fact that we have some mystery here. You know, the Force Awakens, because it could absolutely mean anything. It can mean that there's a new beginning of the Force that we haven't seen before. You know, maybe there's going to be a bunch of a dark side army. Who knows?
That would be awesome. That would be freaking awesome, seeing a dark side army.
Yeah. Or maybe we'll see something new that's not even, maybe something even more dark and evil than the Sith.
Yeah.
That we haven't seen yet.
I mean, if you think about it, they could do stuff that harkens back to the old Republic.
Yeah. Now, the Dathomir witches, you might remember this. Do they use the dark side or do they use Sith?
Do
they use their own?
Witches use basically the dark side.
Okay, so they don't use the Sith.
They don't use the Sith.
Yeah.
They're not practicing Sith.
They're not Sith
teachings.
right.
They just basically use the dark side to do their witchcraft.
Okay, that's something. The Dathomir witches to me have always been interesting.
Dude, that would be so cool if they actually brought them into episode 7.
What if they did a spin-off? Now, not just on them, but one of the like they were the villains of a spin-off series.
And you know what? It would appease the fans because everyone wants to know what happened to the Dathomir witches.
They're creepy as shit too.
They are, dude. I mean, some of the stories that in the
dark
books, so dark.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see them doing like a Lord of the Rings type story with them.
That'd be kind of cool.
Yeah.
That thing's operational.
Now, because we are talking rumors, that takes us to update 3, where an interesting look at this is actually, if you can take us through this, David, this article, this is actually an interesting study into basically the social behavior of people nowadays on social media and how it's almost impossible to maintain any type of secrecy. And when it comes to a major film like this, a major movie, because it says the title of the article is "How Star Wars Episode 7 Lost Control of Its Secrets."
Yeah.
Now the opening paragraph, if you can take us through that.
All right. Well, this comes from the Hollywood Reporter, and basically it starts off: the movie isn't out until December 2015, but on the most closely guarded set in Hollywood history, Disney applied for a drone shield, forced visitors to put secret tape over their phone cameras, and contended with men in trees posting spoilers as fans frantically consume or create anything that can travel the internet more quickly than the Millennium Falcon. It says here a version of the story first appeared in November 28th issue of the Hollywood Reporter magazine. Matthew Myatt, I hope I said that right, was leaning out the side of the Icarus C-42 single-engine micro-light airplane and taking in the view when he noticed something strange below. Myatt and his colleagues at the Airborne Aviation Flying Club had taken off one early September morning with 3 planes flying in tight formation from their base at Popham Airfield about 50 miles south of London. The group flew north toward a vast parkland called Greenham Common, cruising at 1,000 feet. He couldn't make out what the objects below very clearly, but he took a few photos anyway. It wasn't until 4 days later that Myatt downloaded his pictures and saw that what was really on the ground, a piece of cinematic history. Even after Myatt discovered that he inadvertently had photographed the Millennium Falcon.
Can you imagine that?
Dude, that
you're just reviewing your pictures like, holy shit, that looks like the Millennium Falcon.
It can't be.
Yeah. So it's funny because this goes hand in hand with how it's almost impossible to keep secrets nowadays on film sets, because this never would have happened 30 years ago, 20 years ago, even maybe 15 years ago. But with the invention of all these smartphones or GoPros, all these little tiny cameras that make it so simple to snap photos.
Yeah,
it's when this was not possible back then.
And you have to add on to the fact that basically with social media nowadays, a simple picture goes everywhere. Well, and it goes viral,
right? And even let's say someone did manage to snap a photo, 20 years ago, however they did it. But let's say they did. Where are they going to distribute it at? They don't have social media. Like you just said, there was no Facebook or MySpace or Twitter where you can be like, hey guys, check this out.
Yeah.
It's pretty much be something he can hang on his wall and show his friends. I got a picture of the Millennium Falcon. And that's pretty much it.
And nowadays, like, people get paid buku bucks for stuff like that.
Go ahead and continue.
Let's see. Star Wars Episode 7, The Force Awakens. He really had no clue what was about to hit him. He told me when I visited him recently in an airfield that night, after feeding his cat, he uploaded his picture. The right half of Han Solo's galactic cruiser parked next to a blue and black X-Wing fighter to Twitter. He was awakened the next morning by a call from The Sun, a British tabloid. Minutes later, The Guardian phone.
Oh, hell yeah.
When Myatt fired up his iPad, he was stunned to see more than 1,000 retweets.
Oh, look at him. Overnight sensation.
No one in public had known filming was happening in the park.
Oh, that's awesome.
When BBC Belfast interviewed Myatt, they toggled between a conversation about his photo and coverage of the verdict in Oscar Pistorius' murder trial in South Africa. A Japanese film crew knocked on his door, demanding a live interview with a host in Japan who spoke no English. When the local BBC radio station requested that he come in for an interview, he ended up spending the whole day in studio, cycling through one outlet from another. As the days went on, it got more and more crazy. He said, Star Wars almost wrecked my life for a couple of weeks.
Oh, poor
you. It was
you.
absolutely balmy.
When did the guys in the black suits come and take all his images?
Led by JJ.
Yeah. When did they break your kneecap? Is that in the story in place? Listen, you.
And it makes me wonder, I mean, like, what happened to the production crew? I mean, they had to have seen that, oh my God, this photo got viral.
Yeah.
What was their reactions on the set? Further on, Myatt's experience hardly was unique. During the more than 6 months, Star Wars Episode 7 filmed a location as diverse as the UK Pinewood Studios, Abu Dhabi, and the Irish island...
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi.
You gotta say it like J.J. Abrams said it.
Abu Dhabi.
Abu Dhabi.
The Irish island Skellig Michael. Such strange episodes came in rapid succession. Movie shoots were once considered sacred and off-limits to media. But before Episode 7 wrapped November 7th, ahead of nearly a year of post-production, citizens had launched drones to capture precious behind-the-scenes images.
Launching drones.
Paparazzi had stalked a gimpy Harrison Ford after he broke his leg on set. And fans had climbed trees to snap photos of stars Adam Driver. Cottage industry...
You just can't see how... It's almost impossible to keep this set closed in any way. I mean... There's only so much you can do.
There's so much you can do. And especially since, like, with the advance in cameras and lenses, they can be miles away.
Yeah.
And
well, look, people are using drones to find them.
That's so funny, dude. That actually, people have literally gone out there and launched their own drones to do that. That is so freaking weird.
That's funny.
Cottage industry of tidbits and spoilers have fueled a 24-hour-a-day Star Wars news cycle, unlike one preceding any other film in history. Poorly cropped Millennium Falcon picture could earn a civilian pilot thousands of dollars.
Damn.
Myatt says he signed an agreement with a photo agency, but hasn't seen a dime, and thus is yet prepared to sue.
Oh, of course.
Paparazzi and photo agencies say that the nice portfolio of shots from an ultra-secretive set like the one in Abu Dhabi could be worth tens of thousands of dollars.
Wow. Dude, we need to find. That's our new business. That's our new business, David. You and I, we're gonna get private. We're gonna get private investigator type cameras with giant lenses, and we're just gonna go to all the secretive movies that are being shot, all the sequels and whatnot, and we're just gonna like find a way to get these awesome pictures. We're gonna stock film sets, and we're just gonna make our money that way.
But if you think about it,
and then we'll use that money to make our own movies.
You have to think that everyone's just making a big deal out of this because it's Star Wars too.
That's amazing, man. There's really nothing you can do to there's only so many. You can't put red tape over the entire world.
No,
you can't sue the entire world.
And dude, we've mentioned.
I mean, that's a freak accident that guy took a picture above.
And we've mentioned this in the past. JJ has learned from his lesson. Yeah. I mean, like, he tried to keep it secret with Star Trek and failed miserably.
Yeah.
And it backfired. So what does JJ do? He says, if anything goes viral, oh well, it goes viral.
Right.
And he starts adding stuff to it. I mean, remember when he actually released that video? Everyone went apeshit.
Yeah.
Because he actually did a video from set.
Yeah.
That thing's operational.
Star Wars The Force Awakens trailer to be released with The Hobbit on December 17th. This is not confirmed. This is just a massive rumor. I'm trying to think. Phantom Menace trailer teaser came out with that terrible movie, Wing Commander. And that was a teaser.
Man, that's a bad.
Yeah, well, I remember to this day, I remember going to see that because I had some interest in seeing Wing Commander because I played the game.
Yeah.
Which the game starred Mark Hamill. So I was really pumped. I was like, this is going to be awesome. So I went in there, and it's funny because there was a handful of people that as soon as the Star Wars trailer was over, they got up and left. They didn't even watch the movie.
I do remember that.
So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this. At least they're tagging on to a good movie, at least. You know, Hobbit's, for the most part, is liked by people.
It's the last blockbuster of the year.
Yeah, it's going to be Blockbuster, not Blackbuster. Let's not get racist with this. So is that like a new blaxploitation film? But it's a blockbuster.
So awesome.
It's like a superhero blockbuster film. We call them Blackbusters.
Oh, Samuel L. Jackson.
Yeah. And Pam Grier in this summer's Blackbuster. Directed by Tarantino.
Of course.
So the mystery surrounding the release of the much anticipated teaser trailer may not be a mystery much longer. That's right, folks. We might finally know exactly when the Star Wars Force Awakens teaser will be released. And this is taken from StarWars7News.com. According to rumors, it could accompany The Hobbit, The Battle of the Five Armies, when it's released on December 17th. Now, usually December 25th is Christmas Day, and usually there's a handful of movies that are set to be released on Christmas Day. I was thinking more or less it would be released on Christmas Day, because that's Life Day as well.
Yes, it is.
So I'm wondering, like, what if they open it up in celebration of Life Day, and you see like a little, dude, I would be happy with that.
See a bunch of Wookiees dressed in red robes.
Just a couple seconds in celebration of Life Day, and then all of a sudden you go into the teaser. I want that to happen.
Oh God.
Firstly, our own Echo 7 has spoken with a local theater manager who has indicated that the teaser for The Force Awakens will indeed be released along with the new Hobbit movie in December. Yeah, that theater guy is now probably fired and probably sued. The manager said they don't get the trailer info very far in advance. It comes on a drive, all digital now. He said he didn't think it would come in with Hunger Games, the Mockingjay. He also said that companies like Disney aren't allowed to cross-promote except for 2 times in a year. There are rules and regulations about this, apparently. However, since Hobbit comes out a year before Star Wars The Force Awakens, it could be close enough to be within these rules.
And it kind of made sense because, remember, I think it was like there was a rumor that Peter Jackson actually visited the set at one point.
Yeah.
For some strange reason, God only knows why. And it would only make sense that basically, okay, A Hobbit is the last blockbuster of the year. Star Wars has to tie to it. Dude, the biggest debate by far, what's better, Star Wars or Lord of the Rings?
Mace Windu in Blackbuster. Oh, man. All right. You know what, everybody? That is it for today's update. Thank you so much. You can find all of our shows, past and present, the full shows as well as our Bacta updates at www.fromthebactatank.com as well as rainmanwashere.com. Also available on Stitcher and iTunes. Just search From the Bacta Tank. Thank you, and please share the show. Thank you, David.
May the Force be with us.
Check out From the Bacta Tank exclusively on Kazra Radio. Go to FromTheBactaTank.com.